Right, Rhythm Reading Bootcamp, Season 2, Episode 7. We are deep, deep, deep into the murky waters of 16th note syncopation. We have talked about what happens if we move a 16th note rest through all the 4 different possible points in the beat. Today, we're going to have some double trouble. We're going to have 2 16th notes and 2 16th note rests. So the first thing that we're going to do is put a 16th note rest on the beat and then on the last 16th note on the beat. So this sound can also be expressed by having 16th note rest, 16 staccato 8th note. Again, each of those methods of notating is equally valid, same sound, different way of writing it. Now with this one, it's really easy to either rush it so it falls on the downbeat or drag it so it falls on the and. Both of those places are much more comfortable to play than having an attack on the E. Now, in the previous episode, we looked at that fragment that starts on the E of the beat and has 3 16th notes. If you haven't gone through that and gone through the prep exercises, it's well worth doing that now. Otherwise, this thing might be slightly troublesome. Anyway, we're going to take this rhythm and put it in combination with other note values straight away. So we're thinking about, if I just tap out the beat, we're playing on the E and the and. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. That's the sound we're after. Let's put that to the test with some other note values. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next possibility that we're going to look at, rest on the downbeat and then a rest on the and. So we're just going to play on the E and the A. Again, there's an alternative way of notating this, which involves a staccato 8th note. This one might take a little bit of getting used to because we're playing in the cracks. This is one of the most syncopated fragments that we'll encounter. So it's worth spending a little bit of time just clapping things out, tapping them, vocalizing the rhythm maybe, taking it very slowly and just thinking about establishing a solid pulse and getting that constant, perpetual 16th note pulse happening sort of as deeply in your bones as you can get it. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E. So 1 E and a. If I do it back to back, it sort of gets the impression that you're falling over yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's something you might have encountered already in songs, quite a tricky rhythm to get the hang of initially. Let's put it in context with other rhythms. If you want more exercises to practice this stuff, you know what to do. Look in the video description, there's a link that takes you right to the store page for the Rhythm Reading Bootcamp Volume 2 ebook. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the good news is that the next 2 fragments are much more straightforward, because if you think about it, we're going to take 2 16th notes and put them in the first 2 spaces of the beat, which is the same as having an 8th note rest. So what we get is this 8th note rest, 16th notes on the and then the a. So we're going to get 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Pretty straightforward, hopefully. Now, out in the real world, what we often see is this fragment, this rhythm in combination with dotted quarter notes. Obviously a dotted quarter note, 1.5 beats. So you have our first 1.5 beats and then you've got half a beat's worth of music left to fill on the end of 2 or maybe the end of 4. We get this thing, 1, 2 and a. So let's try out fragment 13, 2 16th notes on the end of the beat in combination with some of the previous fragments and some rest. Now what we'll see in this example, if I bring it up, is that if you look at the fourth bar, you've got a dotted quarter note on beat 2 followed by 2 16ths. Now technically that's a pretty bad way of writing the rhythm out because we're crossing the middle of the bar line with a note. What I have found in my travels is that quite often people have very little respect for some of the rules of music engraving, and you will find rhythms that are written, syncopated rhythms that are written in a way that is hard to read, that's not reader friendly, particularly if you're reading some slightly older charts. If you've ever had the thrill, questionable thrill, of showing up for a big band gig without any rehearsal and having to read photocopied charts that are maybe 40 years old, then you definitely will have seen some of this stuff in practice. Anyway, here we go, 2 bars in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we take that fragment, 8th note rest, 2 16th notes, flip it around, we get 2 16th notes and an 8th note rest. Pretty straightforward. We're just putting a note on the downbeat and then on the E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. Pretty straightforward, hopefully. Let's put that to the test with other note values and some rest as well. See what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last possible combination of 2 16th notes and an 8th note rest, or 2 16th note rests, is this. We've got an attack on the downbeat and then an attack on the A. Again, you could express it in this way with a staccato 8th note. You could also have a staccato dotted 8th, although not to split hairs, that's a slightly different sound if we're being very strict about the length of our staccato note. Anyway, semantics doesn't matter. So again, this might take a little bit of getting used to. We're playing on the downbeat and then the A. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 E and 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a. Let's put it into context with other note values and some rests for good measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the next episode, we'll be rounding off our voyage through the wonderful world of 16th note rests by examining what happens if we have 3 16th note rests in a beat and how to handle this thing, the double dotted quarter note.